Audit during his tenure at reputed consulting firms like Grant Thornton and BDO. His time at these leading firms has equipped him with deep knowledge and specialized skills in performing risk assessments, conducting forensic and transaction reviews, addressing occupational fraud, conducting financial analysis, and handling whistleblower complaints. He has also worked on national MERICU cases, which include Gitanjali Gems, Nirav Modi, and Unity Infra Projects Limited. He has successfully collaborated with law enforcement agencies such as CIFO, SEBI, CBI, EOW for high-profile investigations. He is an expert in using digital forensic tools such as Intella and Relativity for email reviews, document reviews, etc. He regularly conducts training sessions for multiple regulators, corporates, and institutions such as ICAI, National Forensic Survey, Science University, SEBI, etc. He is a qualified chartered accountant, certified fraud examiner USA, certified AML specialist, company secretary BCom. His work experience include investigations, forensic and transaction reviews, regulatory collaborations, fraud risk assessments, and proactive assignments, due diligence, and special audits. Yeah, that's why I'm just taking it. With this, we welcome our second speaker of the day, and I request CA Vijay to offer a memento to him. I request our Deputy Convener, CA Pratik Maru, to hand over a CABF contribution on his behalf. So you can take over.
Thanks. Not yet. Thank you everyone. Thank you Pratik bhai, Vipul bhai and team for a warm welcome. Considering it's already 12 past 30, let's try to quickly hop on the topic, right? But just like the name of the topic, forensics in audit. Anyone who can just kind of elaborate exactly, like just by the name of the topic, what do you exactly understand from it? Anyone? Mike? So like, what do you exactly understand by forensics in audit, just as a raw term?
Check her.
Investigations? Detailed investigations?
Yeah, that is forensics audit. We are referring to forensics in audit. So basically, audits which all of us regularly do, statutory audit, internal audit, GST audit, tax audit, whatever the case may be, not necessarily that there has been some possibility of fraud or some investigation matter, but just a generic that how we can try to apply the forensic mindset in the standard audits what we do. So just if we take this ahead. Yeah. So just as we continue the discussion, again, just kind of trying to brainstorm on few things together. So from you guys, majority of fraudsters in an organization, according to you guys, usually are they within the organization, are usually the insiders or outsiders? Like in terms of percentage, like what would be the guess which you will be having? Insider? Okay. Anyone saying maybe a collaboration, outsider or someone? Combination of two. Okay. What can be the average tenure of years spent in an organization where employee does fraud? So basically the employee naya hoga, purana hoga, like what according to you guys, like usually typically just on basis your observation? The older ones, right? Fair enough. For how many months or years does fraud go unnoticed before it's detected? So usually what is the turnaround time before it comes into light, or someone kind of notices that it comes into review? So like maybe 1 year, okay. Anyone else? Any other? 2 years, okay. Right. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, this is just on the generic level. Fair enough. Anyone with any other views, other opinions here? Okay, so broadly we have like if it's a strong control, maybe like a 1 month or a 2 month, and ranging from 1 year to 2 years. Okay, so you guys have heard about ACFE, Association of Certified Fraud Examiners. Anyone? Okay, yeah, please, sir. Uh,
I'd heard about the organization, not too much of it. I was just thinking of pursuing the course, but I didn't.
Okay, all right. So basically, it's a association based out of USA, and primarily it's kind of one of the most reputed bodies across the globe who kind of is involved into forensics of all fraud practitioners basically kind of connect there. And they every year they do a survey where they will investigate, they will try to interview people and try to come up with some statistics related to fraud. So based on these questions, I want to just share some interesting facts before we move on to the topic. 85%, the text is visible, right? Everyone? Okay, I'll narrate it. 85% of occupational fraud cases were committed by internal employees, as you rightly mentioned. This is as per the 2024 report. 11% were collusion between insiders and outsiders, a combination of both. And only 4% of cases involved pure external parties. So it's not a wrong statement to say that as a business owner, very likely अगर जो कोई चोर है तो वो घर के अंदर ही है. So we don't need to kind of, it's always important to have that skepticism. 50% of internal fraudsters had no prior criminal record. So it's like more of an opportunity which they will see, and due to other factors they will be pursuing something. It is not that they are trained criminals or kind of, having a habit of doing it. It's more of an opportunity in a lot of cases, as we see from these facts. 45% had been with the company for more than 6 years. Again, we had that discussion. So like majorly, as we see, it's about the more of the settled employees who are kind of getting into this kind of acts. Screen. Okay. 5% of average revenue loss per organization per year is because of frauds. So as Arpit had also mentioned in the previous session, there are only two types of business owners. One who knows that fraud is happening or ongoing in my company, or he does not know that fraud is ongoing, but there is no third option as such. It's just that how much percentage, this is the average percentage which at least at global level we can consider. 12 months, a typical period before which the fraud usually gets detected. So yeah. Apart from that, two other interesting things. 29% of the cases, the primary reason was absence of internal control. So as sir rightly mentioned, so it's kind of a very critical thing that if there is no proper structure or controls on your controls in place, then you are genuinely in for a trouble. Irrespective, it's a 5 crore company or it's a 5,000 crore company. More than half of the tips of a possible fraud come from employees, and another one-third come from a vendor or customer. So if we can just kind of correlate, so the employees are the first ones where, the old employees, as we see, typically tend to be, having that fraudulent mindset, because the reason simple being that you are now settled in the company. Now you are the one who knows in and out of the company. So one bad thought, one bad situation, and people tend to kind of, deviate from those ethos there. Okay. So this was about some interesting facts. Quickly, the things which we'll try to cover in today's topic. What is forensics and audit? Why we need forensics? Like कोई law बोलता है, कई जगह पे compliance है. It's for our own, like we'll try to touch on that part, right? Whom it is applicable, like is it for all kind of listed companies? It's for all companies where logically it fits in. How we can perform practical, we'll take a case that exactly how we can try to implement a forensic mindset. And last and most important, the challenges typically faced, because bolna or kehna easy hai, but practically on ground, this is the main place where the challenges are. So we'll try to touch base on that as well. Okay. With this, so quickly, as I mentioned at the start, so forensics and audit refers to integration of investigative techniques and analytical procedures. So it is not necessary that forensics and audit needs to be applied only where you have kind of identified a fraud. This is more of a preventive mechanism and not more of that detective thing. Detective, as I mentioned, that in detection, it will be investigation, it will be a forensic audit. This is more of a preventive thing, a mindset which we need to apply in our audits to make sure that it doesn't go in a typical documented stuff, but we have a wider lens on that. So that's the main thing which we'll be trying. Now in terms of key elements, first, investigative mindset. Again, we are not trying to criminalize the client, we're just trying to develop that mindset. Identify fraud risk areas. For practically all of us, it's not possible that in each and every area we will keep continuing those techniques and apply those procedures. Everyone has a cost, everyone has a budget, there is a time constraint. So at least for each kind of an industry, type of a client, the background history of a client, we can try, like let's say it's a capital heavy company, then maybe there might be some fraud risk maybe in the fixed asset side. So on and so forth. So like maybe for your own client, you are the best one to kind of identify those 3 or 4 areas where there can be a fraud risk. Third is forensic data analysis. So this is something we'll touch base on how we'll do the forensics and audit. And yes, most importantly, legal awareness, what we are doing, how we are doing. It's important to have some back. That is also something like we'll be covering that part in the subsequent slides. So this is just a flavor basically like what is forensics in audit and what should be the approach. So coming to the fraud triangle part, basically kind of the basic things to know when we talk about forensics. Again, anyone who can kind of explain what is a fraud triangle? Anyone? Okay. All right. So then let's spend some time on this, because this will be the base which you should keep in mind, because on this basis the factors are usually determined for someone. As we mentioned that employee, employees typically a bit older before he pursues a fraud. So fraud triangle is basically a theory developed by Donald Tracy, and he tries to kind of understand the factors which lead to fraud, right? 3 main things: opportunity, rationalization, and pressure. Okay. So again, rather than making a bit theoretical, anyone want to attempt at what means what? It goes a bit self-explanatory here. First one, opportunity. Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So something like weak internal controls? Right, okay. So yes, absolutely. So it's an opportunity. I am working in a firm for more than 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, right? Now I know how किधर कहाँ से क्या approval होता है, and I know कि यहाँ पे से कोई कभी check ही नहीं करता है. So naturally, that corrupt mind will suddenly emerge, and especially, you know, uh, problem है, financial problem है, why don't I do this? Okay, so opportunity, as ma'am rightly mentioned, lack of controls, monitoring, lack of fear of the consequences. Anyone? Rationalization? Absolutely, absolutely. Other than that, you are absolutely right. Another. बराबर. So it's basically kind of rationalizing अभी पाप करना ही है तो क्यों गिल्टी फील के साथ करे उसको कहीं ना कहीं जस्टिफाई कर दो. So typically we see, you know, even in our firms, lot of times people, you know, kind of play with that stationary stuff, will do prints, and if someone kind of has that interactions के भाई firm के resources है like anyways हम free में ही काम करके दे रहे हैं firm को ना तो हमारा, you know, a typical small scenario of a rationalization. As it matures, these thoughts can be perpetrated into bigger things, and then where, you know, instead of that typical stationary thefts, it comes into money thefts. So yeah, justification for unethical behavior and change in ethical behavior, how management perceives certain actions. Pressure. So basically the management pressure. So one is the management pressure. Any other forms of pressure? Logical. Target achievement. So basically sales head pressure. कि भाई इतना sales book कर दे, we will reverse it subsequently. Absolutely. Sorry? Family pressure. Yeah, absolutely. The third one, घर पे finance की ज़रूरत थी, इसके लिए किया, वरना हम ये सब कभी नहीं करते. But again, you know, I mean, this example is more of opportunity, rationalization and pressure. ये वो तो घर पे ज़रूरत थी, वहाँ पे मुझे पता था, वो एक बार मैं वापस कर दूंगा, वो बाद में ऐसे लोन ही समझ लो आप, जो कभी वापस जाता नहीं है. So these are all types of conversations, and this all conversations, the mindset we are talking currently is, let's narrow it down. We are not talking about those big forensic audits, investigations and all, you know, like that's a separate domain. We can touch base that for some later part, not today. Today, we are only focusing that how we can apply this forensic mindset for our work, what we are doing in existing clients, for our existing clients. So this is the background. These are the factors which leads to fraud. And now let's take it to that why forensics and audit. Okay, so like, is there some compliance, any law or something regulates us to do this? Okay, then any logic that why we are having a separate session altogether this? Because if there is no regulation, it's just, you know, kind of an optional thing, then like, why are we investing even this much of time over here? Why are we having session here on this? Sorry? Absolutely. Improvement in audit quality. Else? Caro reporting. Okay. Absolutely. So somewhere a bit of compliance, but again, they do not say do forensics and audit. They say that, I think, do forensics with a professional skepticism, right? Anything else? Any other thoughts? Sorry, Anna? Loan fraud. So kind of for stronger controls. Basically, kind of we can say quality itself, right? Like just to improve the quality to ensure that there are maybe reduced NPAs. Fair enough. Anything else? True and fair view. Okay. Okay. So there are some 7, 8, these are all indicatives, but these are some critical reasons why it's important to apply this forensic mindset. It's not for any kind of, correct me if I'm wrong, using the word charity. It's not that, और अच्छा करते हैं, चलो और, so there are a lot of people watching us, you know, till the time nothing comes out, everything is fine. But जिनके clients गए हैं इसमें something like 143.12 में, अगर जो आपने identify नहीं किया है, then the problem starts. So the ones who have kind of burned their hands, they will relate to it more. And for the others, just a heads up that before you burn your hands, it's better to kind of take care that why it's happening. So the first one, 143.12. Anyone? 143.12? Section 143.12 of Companies Act. Reporting of fraud. Communication to the management, and most importantly, communication to central government. Above 1 crore. Yes, that's right. So now the problems which we have faced, so even Arpit had mentioned in one of his examples. So it's not just about, like reporting. So there is a strong documentation and evidence which will be required, and no one can escape it. So over here, when we are saying this, so in one of our recent clients, so they had reached out that for their specific audit matter, they had issues in the financials. They had reported it in 143.12. Now NAFRA had questioned them that, okay, good, you reported. Now we are going to visit you and get the documents verified, whether it was a genuine 143.12 or not. So whether it's happening or it's not happening, whether you're reporting or not reporting, if NAFRA is going to catch hold of you, then you have to justify an either of NAFRA rules and orders, as we discussed. Then in terms of SEBI regulations, where it clearly states that audit committee must review the related party transactions. So this is a bit to do with the listed companies. RBI circulars, which states that in case if you suspect that there is an issue in the borrowers, then you have to get a forensic audit done. So yes, we don't need to be a forensic auditor for that, but at least we should know that where the line falls, where we get that matter reported and undertake a forensics audit. GST Act, this is recently we have seen a lot of cases where, because of this fake invoices and this income tax, this ITC frauds and everything. So over there on that aspect, law enforcement agencies. So CBI, SFIO, Enforcement Directorate, you might be seeing this regularly in newspapers. One of these entities might have caught hold of clients. Now, irrespective whether the client has kind of manipulated, diverted, etc., but the first thing in their list of to-dos for these regulators, which I regularly work with, so I'm telling you from first-hand experiences, भाई इसका auditor कौन है? XYZ, ठीक है, उसको कल बुलाओ. So now, if your documentation and everything, all aspects, your approaches and your vigilance has been sufficient, you are kind of making a case for yourself, or else be prepared to kind of make regular visits over there. In case if you have come across something, you have reported it either in your audit report, or even if you have some documented communications with the client, somewhere you are safeguarding yourself, and that is one of the critical reasons that we need to have this forensic mindset in audit. Then after all these things where we are more of safeguarding ourselves, then it comes, according to me, the 7th point, that maintaining client's trust is also equally important. That for this step, you do it for the client, you find out something and you win them for life. Because they are of the impression in usual cases that by मेरे company में यहाँ पे सब कुछ नहीं होता है, I know everyone, everything is perfect. So you come up with something with a strong evidence and you put it across to them, and that is where you win their lifetime trust that was this firm or this individual is my go-to guy for any matters in my financials or company. And lastly, the element of money, the additional revenue. Whenever you come up with something, you might recommend a special audit, you might recommend some special reviews. And trust me, if the thing is genuine, irrespective of the nature of client, how much ever, miser or whatever he may be, if he see that triggers, he is going to agree to your points of getting a special audit done for that. So these are some in summary pointers. More weightage that we are doing it more for ourselves to protect our firms and practices. That God forbid इसमें से कहीं से भी एक भी regulator या कोई अपने पे आया, so at least we are somewhere safeguarding ourselves. उसके बाद डेफिनेटली क्लाइंट्स का भी सोचो और उसके बाद रेवेन्यू का भी है. सो दिस इज द रीजंस व्हाई इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट टू गेट दीज थिंग्स डन. द नेक्स्ट पार्ट, हु नीड्स forensics. अभी ये जो बैकग्राउंड समझा, सो क्विकली एनीवन हैव गॉट एनीथिंग दे वांट टू जस्ट लाइक लेट्स टेक अ मिनट, want to ask anything further, want to discuss something on this? At least like, are we together on this? Like that's cool, right? Okay, awesome. Okay, so who needs forensics again? So all these slides, just let me give a disclaimer. First, they are indicative, and second, this is purely, you know, more of that common sense things. Like it's something like somewhere we are aware about it, but maybe, you know, in a hall together we are not discussing it. So it's not like just maybe like 1.5 hour we are spending together to keep these things in mind, like maybe learn few techniques in the subsequent slides. That's the only objective of this session. So everything we can, you know, like sit together, discuss and conclude, okay, चलो भाई ये reasons थे जिसके लिए कर रहे हैं, अभी किन किन के लिए ये reasons है, ये कैसे कर रहे हैं. That should be the objective in next half an hour to 1 hour. Okay, so yeah, who needs forensics and audit? Stakeholders. Banks, okay. Management. So we are just debating. So basically I'm telling like in terms of your pool of clients, so what is the category of clients who will need? So let me just put it across like that. What are the category of clients? Sorry? Insurance, okay. Real estate. Who said real estate? Yeah, what is, why do you say real estate? What is rationale for that? Okay. Yeah, maybe you can, you are right, like, दीजिए ना. Yes, please.
So there is a purchase area
Right.
where I found one issue of a fraud.
Mhm.
It is at the time of my articleship.
Right.
So that is the reason where I feel because the material used there is very large, and tracking that it will become a very difficult.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
there
So
is a
can we call it as a high risk industry?
Yeah.
Industry as a whole, not just your company, but typically like a high risk industry is something where we can get
Yeah.
it done.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anyone? Banking? Absolutely. Bank is like a absolute chit fund. Okay. So let's put it as banking, NBFCs and everything. Okay. So that is something because and why we are using this term is because forensic audits, what we typically hear, we associate it with banking. So that is why banking is something which will immediately come in our mind. So note it. Apart from this, so see, this is what I'm saying. This is a comfort area. You know, like bank ho gaya, ye ho gaya. But like, what about beyond that? Everyone else is actually assuming कि यार मेरे में थोड़ी होएगा. मैं मेरे client को, because typically these are the clients जहाँ अपना कुछ एक relationship build हुआ है and then that relationship to client. तो वो naturally एक अपने में एक wiring है कि मेरे client में नहीं होएगा, ये सब आप बोल रहे हो सही है, मेरे में नहीं होता है. So that is any other beyond this which you can think. At least you can try to think. Hospitality, where financial controls are. सर यू एकदम सर आपने वो नसी पकड़ लिया, मतलब सो आई थिंक मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द कंपनीज में कंट्रोल्स वीक ही होते हैं. सो तो उसका मतलब तो वही हुआ कि ऑलमोस्ट सारे ही कंपनीज में करना है. या ट्रू. Sorry, someone said. Whistleblowing cases, yeah. So something like red flags, where you come up with some red flags, we can try to introspect it further. Fair enough? Okay. High risk companies. So basically, when I say high risk, I mean something where typically I'll not name the companies, but you know they'll be having extremely vulnerability in the kind of stock movements. You see that you know the games are beyond actual things, you know, beyond the core, but it's more on those numbers and everything. So high risk that there will be inflated revenues. Second, as mentioned, high risk industries. So here I'm talking not about any specific company but industry as a whole. As he rightly mentioned, real estate, something like jewelry. Again, something which Arpit Bhai had also mentioned in the previous session. It's an extremely unorganized sector and extremely vulnerable, extreme levels of cash movements, right? Like every second or third guy within the jewelers, they know कि भाई इधर से ये इतना जाता है आता है. So again, जाता है आता है and all. I don't want to get into that. But the problem is that where there is so much of unorganization, the probability of fraud increases. And especially in such sectors, I again repeat the statement, the fraud is happening. It's about whether the promoter is knowing or he's not knowing, he's agreeing or he's not agreeing. So the conversations is only restricted to that. Notorious promoters altogether. So typically we might be doing audits of a lot of family run businesses, family operated. So we'll be having very limited access to the stuff there because it will be more on relationship basis. So till the time nothing is coming out, till the time there are no issues, please continue, I will not comment. But again, it's a heads up for you guys. This is another area where it's very important to identify few risk areas based on the nature of business, nature of work, and try to apply a forensic mindset and forensic procedures there. Startup companies. Typically playing for that game of valuation, less interest on the profitability, more on that revenue, will go to any extent to kind of, increase the top line of the company. And when you have this mindset, as someone mentioned about that pressure, the pressure increases and you tend to kind of try manipulating the books of accounts. More of self-explanatory, financial distressed companies. Companies under regulatory watch. For your clients, please check once on the public domain whether any kind of regulatory supervision is going on for this client or not. Red flags noted. Someone mentioned about, like whistleblower complaints or there are any issues. In one of the earlier slides, I mentioned about that employees as well, that one of the major sources of information of some fraud happening before we detect it through procedures is employees. So like in one of the typical cases where if an employee, if he starts deviating funds, you will see a sudden change in lifestyle. Because hard-earned money is a choice, you spend it the way you want. But an easily earned money, something like by diverting money, you cannot keep it to yourself. You'll try to kind of mess around with that. That would be through some unnecessary purchases or more of those fancy assets, some cars or something, which will not go with your paychecks. And where the lifestyle does not match with the paychecks, it's time to follow the tail. In almost every second scenario, you will find something or the other. It need not be for crores of rupees, but it will be a genuine critical red flag which you should consider either for your company or for your client. Any other entity. Any thoughts like why I've mentioned this? So basically, so high risk companies, we are talking about some companies with, at least it's listed, it's in the stock market. Startup companies, someone might have invested funds and something like that, all that. But I have an opinion that even a 5 to 10 crore revenue company is susceptible to fraud. I'll quickly take a case. This investigation is less than 6 months old. A client with a turnover of less than 10 crore per year had reached out to us that something is wrong, they are not able to get profitability, there is some problem. And they had some issues, and when we investigated the matter, auditors had given everything clean, no issues in controls, etc. Typical report. Now when we checked in that, so there was a cumulative fraud for almost 2 to 3 years, accumulating to 75 lakh rupees in a less than 10 crore revenue firm. They will be having less than 15 employees. just one small plant, and like there is no separate team. So, you know, like no, it's a very, very nominal operations where someone we would be, you know, like an auditor would have a typical mindset कि भाई 4 दिन जाना है, फटाफट सब complete करना है and report देके आना है. 75 lakhs diverted out of the company, trying to investigate. When we investigated the modus operandi, basically the process of doing the fraud was a graduate accountant, okay, doing the accounts manager role over there. Very simple stuff, right? But the accountant had got nick of something either through their friends or someone that we don't know. So they tampered with the beneficiary name in the bank statement. So I'll elaborate. Heads up, I would request that tomorrow when you turn, turn to your office, please check this once. So basically, it's a very common, and we are not talking about some smaller bank or something. We are talking about Kotak Bank, okay? And this happens with all the premium banks. So there's nothing to do with you to koi faltu bank rahega. We are talking about a standard bank. So when we want to make a payment to a particular vendor, right? So at the time of creating the beneficiaries, we'll write the account number, we'll write the account name, and then we'll write the beneficiary name or reference name, right? And whatever other details. So now over here, if I want to make payment to Mr. ABC, but if I don't have good intent, so instead of writing the beneficiary name as Mr. ABC, right, I can write it something else. So over here, what happened is that payment was supposed to be made to Mr. ABC. So account number of Mr. ABC. However, the account number was of myself. Okay, in case if I want to do, so I'll write my account number. The beneficiary name I'll write it of ABC company. So now when the bank statement will come, when you will download the bank statement, although the amounts has been transferred to my account, the beneficiary name will be showing as ABC. So I will not have any clue as a promoter, and I'll be like, okay, that's fine. What's the, what's the problem? And now since it's a small company, you don't have all those big departments. So now what happens is, when the vendor would follow up, now this account manager, so they had a running account with that. So they would always have that overdue. So let's say I'm supposed to make a 10 lakh payment. So that previous outstanding will be there. Now when I make this payment, it will be settled for that previous one. So that outstanding will be there. That vendor will be somehow managed. Okay. And this thing took more than 2 years to come out, that this entire amounts were diverted, and effectively there was 75 lakhs which was not recoverable. It was like it was settled in my books, but it was not settled in vendors' books. So a very small company, but still you are having this issue of a genuine fraud happening due to some or the other reason. So that's my point. So if the controls are there, then something like this might happen. There might not be controls. There are like endless reasons for that. The important thing is over here, the auditor should have applied some mindset, try to get those customer balances or whatever steps are there. But the point being that like if it's done superficially, this is the consequence. The example is clear, right? Like anything you would want to know further? Okay, yeah, so that is why it makes it generic, but wanted to clarify that any entity where you think there is a fraud, it becomes part where you have to apply your forensic mindset there. This is not working. Okay. So this was about it. So we learned that exactly when do we need to apply forensic audits, why we need to apply forensic audits. Sure. Why we need to apply forensics. Now this red flag, so there are those specific listed red flags as per the RBI circular. So that is a detailed list. I think you will be getting that PPT, so you can refer. So let's not waste time into those each and every listing. But broadly, these are just sample red flags, since as a part of the flow of conversation. Just in the previous slide, we mentioned that there are red flags and there are issues. So just to give a reference and context to it, so I've just highlighted 6 red flags, which can be an indicator that typically we will have to kind of introspect and conduct this audit with a forensic mindset. It's okay. No, it's okay. मैं करता हूँ. Okay. So the first one, frequent complaints from customers and suppliers. So over here, what happened is, in the previous example I gave, the accounts manager had kind of choked up into those complaints or follow-ups which would have come from the suppliers. So had there been some proper mechanism or kind of proper involvement of the promoter as well as the review of the auditor, this scenario might have not happened. Low morale and motivation among employees, because this leads to, if there is any opportunity, as per that fraud triangle, opportunity, rationalization, and pressure. So if there is a low morale, you will see an opportunity, and if the morale is in the not right frame of mind, you will immediately have a rationalization there that what's the big deal anyways, blah, 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 reasons are happening, and you might start doing some manipulated activity there. Understaffed accounting department, less people, lesser maker-checker principles and controls in place, and eventually the same result and the same fate. Employee with sudden shift in lifestyle, inconsistent and surprising cash flow deficiencies, and infighting among top management. So when there is issue in the leadership itself, when there are conflicts there, we have seen this in multiple practical scenarios as well as in multiple series as well, that when there are issues at the top, the mid and the bottom layer will make you pay for that. So again, to bring the context, so these are the red flags. If you see any of these things when you enter your client's premises, if you have this kind of any flavors or something anywhere, any observations, it's time to investigate or at least explore these areas once. That abhi sudden shift in employee lifestyle hai, so just do some checks with which department he is working, which area is working, are the controls decent in that department or not. So yeah, now coming to the main part. As I mentioned, so like how to do, abhi ye sab reasons hai, okay, hame karna hai. So now this is a very dynamic conversation, right? So right, like for each and every area, we can have a proper half an hour discussion and brainstorming and exploration. But in the challenge of time limitation here, what we'll do is we'll take this one case, we'll study this properly, that exactly like the matter is related to payroll. So a traditional audit mein kya steps hote hai, and then we will try to apply a forensic mindset and see that how we can do that, the same things, but with the same data, but slightly different mindset. So let's take this one example and let this be the base, right? I'll have to operate from here. Okay, so typical traditional audit, audit procedure, anyone, जो 2-3 standard चीजें जो हम करते हैं for the payroll part. Apart from seeing that what is the salary of those senior employees, उसके अलावा क्या क्या हम करते हैं? Sorry? बैंक? ओके, सो ठीक है, मतलब इसको 10 लाख या 20 लाख है, मतलब उसको आप फिर कैसे उसका डॉक्यूमेंटेशन देखोगे, मंथली करोगे, परफेक्ट. एनीथिंग एल्स? वेरिएंसेस? एब्सोल्युटली. Perfect. Sample attendance, absolutely, the documentation part. Whether joining onboarding documentation is done correctly or not. Exactly, right? So traditional, so again, like, I've not kind of made this congested. So basically, all this representation you can summarize in this: verify payroll register against attendance and HR records. Kind of reconciliation, उसमें फिर वो documentation वगैरह सब आ गया, right? Matched all employee records with attendance. उसका HR register में name था, उसका attendance marked था, and उसका salary payrolls वगैरह देख लिया, everything was proper, right? कोई additional उसमें कोई concerns कहीं नहीं थे, and no irregularities noted. Now in this same sample, we'll just tweak a bit. We'll just try to now use this data but a little bit differently. apply forensic analytics on payroll data, and review bank account patterns. So अभी इसमें forensic analytics और ये सब words से don't kind of disconnect yourself कि ये तो वापस आपने दूसरी बात कर दी. When I say forensic analytics, the same Excel which the client gives us, but इसमें थोड़ा वो जो pivot वगैरह हम लगाते हैं उसको थोड़ा differently लगाएंगे, और ये जो बैंक अकाउंट्स है उसको हम आइडेंटिफाई करने का ट्राई करेंगे कि भाई हर अकाउंट में से एक ही पेमेंट जाना चाहिए. देयर शुड नॉट बी मल्टीपल पेमेंट्स, राइट. तो आई एम नॉट श्योर कि कितने लोग वो लगाते हैं. अगर जो लगाते हैं तो ग्रेट जॉब, एटलीस्ट फॉर दिस पार्ट यू आर डूइंग एंड अप्लाइंग अ फॉरेंसिक माइंडसेट, राइट. सो नाउ आइडेंटिफाइड मल्टीपल सैलरीज क्रेडिटेड टू अकाउंट्स विद सिमिलर बैंक डिटेल्स. सो एक ही बैंक अकाउंट नंबर है, बट उसमें मुझे दिख रहा है कि 2-3 सैलरी हिट्स आ रहे हैं. ओके, सो नाउ वी कंडक्ट अ सरप्राइज फिजिकल वेरिफिकेशन एंड फ्यू एम्प्लॉयज फ़ोन कर रहे हैं, कोई लग नहीं रहा है, कोई उठा नहीं रहा है, कुछ है नहीं एग्जिस्टेंस, साइट प्लांट पे गए तो there is no details about that employee, and eventually detected that ghost employee and salary diversion by the HR staff over there. Yeah, you want to say something? Huh? Yeah, one second, let everyone hear, no?
So when you mention about the bank records of
Right.
the employees,
Right,
where it
right.
has been credited, now the challenge here as an auditor, be it internal, external, whatever you
Right,
consider,
right.
as a forensic, you might get all the data resource because you have the management's permission.
हाँ.
But as a regular auditor,
Yes.
वो payroll team क्या बोलेगा? ये sensitive data है. We
Absolutely.
cannot share with you. They won't even share the figures with us.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
They'll put 1 rupee.
वो एक एम्प्लॉय को अंदर कैबिन में लेके जाएगा कि आपको सिर्फ राइट्स है, आप अंदर जाइए और देख के आइए. यू आर राइट, एब्सोल्युटली.
And he won't share data also with us. He'll say, review it online on the document, don't record. So how to tackle that?
Absolutely. So in one line I'll give the response. This is a main issue कि data ही नहीं देते तो ये सब ज्ञान कहाँ से बांटेंगे, right? So I'll cover that in the challenges part. But just to give one liner, just as an alternative, even if that doesn't convince, we'll have that discussion later. So typically what we request is लोगों को problem data में नहीं है कि इसको इतना salary है वो मैं disclose नहीं होने दूंगा, बॉस ने भी ना बोले और मुझे मेरा भी सैलरी नहीं दिखाना है. दैट इज द मेन पॉइंट. सो व्हाट वी टिपिकली डू इज वी आस्क देम कि आप है ना कोई भी एक कोड या कुछ दो जो एक यूनिक कोड है, राइट, बट उसमें एम्प्लॉय आईडी या कुछ वो नहीं आएगा जिससे पता चले किसका क्या है. डेजिग्नेशन भी नहीं चाहिए, बराबर. आप ये फील्ड्स निकाल दो. यू जस्ट गिव दैट यूनिक कोड एंड किस को कितना सैलरीज गए और क्या क्या पे आउट्स हुए एंड ऑल दोज डिटेल्स. दे विल इन मोस्ट लाइकली सिनेरियो इफ यू टॉक टू अ सीनियर गाय दे विल गिव, बिकॉज इससे उन लोगों को कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. And max to max you can do it on their system itself, you know, if they want some. But अगर जो सिर्फ इतना कर दिया तो ये जो ऑब्जर्वेशन है आप निकाल पाओगे. आपको एनीवेज वो नेम जान के क्या करना है, आपको एक यूनिक नंबर चाहिए. अगर जो आप वो सिंपल एक एनालिटिक्स में देखोगे कि एक वाले कोड पे 3 हिट्स आ रहे हैं इन अ पर्टिकुलर मंथ, इन्वेस्टिगेट, कभी कुछ रहेगा बोनस या कुछ रहा, देयर माइट बी समथिंग. वी आर नॉट सेइंग कि सब कुछ फ्रॉडी है, बट इट्स इंपॉर्टेंट टू अप्लाई दिस फॉरेंसिक माइंडसेट कि भाई कुछ एटलीस्ट साल में एक बार ये देख लिया कि कुछ गोस्ट वोस्ट का कोई दिक्कत तो नहीं है. दैट्स द ऑब्जेक्टिव ऑफ दिस एंटायर डिस्कशन, राइट. सो ठीक, आई थिंक आई ब्रॉडली ट्राई टू आंसर दिस, राइट. ओके, so moving to the next part. So over here, as we discussed, so if it was done in a traditional manner, no irregularities noted, but with this approach we'll come to know that there is definitely some control deficiency. We can kind of work on that. If required, take a separate assignment out of it and recommend at least the preventive checks. So as we, you know, like for the whys, so whatever things you want to place it depending on your client, you can kind of resolve this. So this was one example, right? So similarly, in the interest of time, I'll just quickly walk through. Similarly, for all areas in any kind of industry, this conversation can happen. So something like management override of controls, NPAs in the banking, or a revenue. So these are also like depending on your client, the industry of your client and other parameters which we discussed. You identify the fraud risk areas, right? And there, for that specific area, you try to investigate. So something like management override of controls. So these are just, so I'm not putting it as a case. I'm just simply narrating what are the additional procedures which you can do with a forensic mindset. So something like retrospective approvals, thereby providing opportunity to inflate costs. Anyone who has done this or want to kind of comment on this? Or at least have you understood? So then I'll not, like take time. It's already 1:30. Okay, you want me to elaborate on this? Okay. So basically over here, typically whenever the management aspect comes, so again, at least for those mid-size or a small MSMEs, typically the management is our relationship. So we are not going to question them, right? So what we do is just for our safety, we will take that MRL, we will document that we have it. They have only said that there is no issue. So that is one aspect. That is what I'm telling, that now whenever that NAFRA or some other regulator steps into picture, they are not going to say that letter liya hai. Letter say definitely you will get some relief or some comfort, but that's not going to be a clean sheet for you, that matlab aapka kya tha. So this is where it's important to apply these rationales. So over here, approvals is there. So typically management approval is there. So we will just see the process, or we will see their SOP and the job is done. But what we are trying to see here is a lot of times exception approvals are taken, right? And some companies maintain that report, some doesn't. But based on samples, we can always identify few samples and ask them that, let's say this payment is unauthorized or this expense is unauthorized, whatever the case may be. So what is the reason or rational? And if we identify that there are some exception approvals, retrospective approvals given, that earlier it was declined and given, or it was asked to some junior to give an approval. So if these are the factors which has resulted in higher expenses or higher costs, it's time to just kind of apply that mindset and review it further. We are not saying that there might be some genuine reason issue, but for such scenarios, review it further. So similarly, there are all other kind of some suggestive procedures which are listed. If you want, you can take a screenshot, because I don't think we'll be able to cover all the pointers. So similarly for NPAs, based on geography, a lot of times, a lot of brokers will kind of tamper, or kind of get in hands with on-ground players. They are under the table commissions and targets, and basis that unrequired loans will be disbursed. So now when we have that NPA report, usually all the banks and NBFCs will have a field of geographical location. So based on the region, we can try to identify कि ऐसा कुछ है कि specific areas में ज़्यादा NPAs हो रहा है. If yes, then who is the dealer? What is the background of the dealer? Since when he is working, and we can kind of introspect the matter. So yeah, similarly for revenue, have you guys come across or seen anyone doing this metadata analysis? So this is more of a forensic concept, but a very simple thing, zero cost, which you can apply in your normal audits as well. So in this today's AI world, if I ask for an expense voucher or any document, it will just take me 20 minutes to prepare the document, you name it, whatever you want, and by the end of the day, I'll be in a position to give you the documents. Then how to check the authenticity of those documents? अगर जो hard copy है, तो ये usually हम लोग करते हैं, if it makes sense to you. So typically, if it's a 1 year old voucher, so अगर जो मेरे पास हाथ में आएगा, तो वो एक पेपर का एकदम फ्रेश होता है, एक फ्रेशनेस स्मेल होता है. तो अगर जो लास्ट 1-2 दिन में ही हमारे लिए बनाया गया है, सो वी विल गेट अ सेंस. सो ये तो एक कॉमन सेंस और एक ऑब्जर्वेशन से कर सकते हैं. बट इन टुडे सिनेरियो लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स वी गेट ऑनलाइन. तो जब ऑनलाइन रहेगा तो कुछ स्मेल नहीं कर पाएंगे. तो वहाँ पे मेटाडेटा एनालिसिस करके, यू जस्ट टाइप मेटाडेटा ऑन गूगल, मेटाडेटा एनालिसिस. तो देयर आर फ्यू वेबसाइट्स जहाँ पे आपको ये डॉक्यूमेंट अपलोड करना है, and the software will give you a response that what is the date of creation of this software, कौन सी डेट पे हुआ है, कौन से फॉर्म में, लेट्स से वो वर्ड टू पीडीएफ बना है, क्या बना है. सो फ्यू बेसिक्स ऑफ दैट डॉक्यूमेंट यू विल बी एबल टू गेट इट फ्रॉम दैट. सो अगर जो वो रिसेंटली बना है तो उसके ट्रेल्स में आ जाएगा कि ये डॉक्यूमेंट जस्ट अभी कल ही बना है. सो सिंपल थिंग्स, ज़ीरो कॉस्ट, जस्ट ऑनलाइन जाके करना है. सैम्पल पे कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट्स पे कर लिया, आपका काम हो जाएगा. So yeah, so few techniques like this. where we can try to apply a forensic mindset and try to make our lives better, right? Now comes the part, challenges in implementing forensics and audit. So I have the list ready, but once again, let's, as all of us together who are anyways sitting till 1:30, so someone is genuinely interested, that is why he or she is here. So let's kind of gather few things that exactly why, what are these challenges जो आप लोग face कर रहे हो. अभी तक जो समझा सीखा बस, मतलब suppose किया हुआ है या करना है, बट आपको लग रहा है कि यार ये सब सिर्फ थियोरीज अच्छी है, प्रेजेंटेशंस अच्छे है, बट प्रैक्टिकल लाइफ में ये सब नहीं होता है. व्हाट विल बी द प्रॉब्लम्स? डेटा इज नॉट अवेलेबल. परफेक्ट. उसके ऐसे ऑल्टरनेट सॉल्यूशंस है. उसमें एक लाइव एग्जांपल तो अभी आया कि जो डेटा नहीं है, तो ऐसे ही कोई भी एक सिनेरियो आपका है, तो आई कैन ट्राई टू गिव एन ऑल्टरनेटिव. नॉट नेसेसरी 100 में से ऑल्टरनेटिव आएगा, बट एटलीस्ट लाइक दिस एग्जाम्पल कुछ में एटलीस्ट वो फिक्स हो जाएगा. So yeah, fair enough, but genuine thing, data limitation. Data is on, data ही नहीं है. What else? Sorry? I can't hear. Confidential. So data like हाँ, जो for whatsoever reason. So data not provided. Done. Anything else? Yeah. Unwillingly data not provided. Confidentially data not provided. Genuinely data not provided. Data not there. Done. Anything else apart from data? स्कोप. मैं तो स्टैट्यूटरी ऑडिट की तो बात करें तो हमारे पास तो सारे ही अथॉरिटीज है. इंटरनल है तो यू आर राइट कि वो स्कोप में नहीं है, तो वो तो एनीवे स्कोप का है, आप एनीवेज उससे एक्स्ट्रा करने भी नहीं वाले हो. या एनीथिंग? जस्ट 5-10 minutes. दिस इज द लास्ट पार्ट. या क्लाइंट रिलेशनशिप. एब्सोल्युटली. एक चीज तो ऑलरेडी आया था, बजट और टाइम का, वो पॉइंट तो आया ही था. सो बजट एंड टाइम. एनीथिंग एल्स? रिलेशनशिप, क्लाइंट रिलेशनशिप, डेटा लिमिटेशन, और कुछ? लैक ऑफ नॉलेज. मतलब समझा नहीं. कैन यू इलैबोरेट? किधर से आया मुझे कोई नहीं. हाँ बोलिए ना. लैक ऑफ नॉलेज मतलब आई डिडंट गेट यू. अंडरस्टैंडिंग ही नहीं है. ओह या परफेक्ट. एब्सोल्युटली. लैक ऑफ स्किल्स. लैक ऑफ स्किल्स फॉर द एग्जीक्यूटिंग गाइज. एब्सोल्युटली. डिजिटल टूल्स नॉट. आई थिंक ब्रॉडली जो जेन्युइन प्रॉब्लम्स है वही लिस्टेड है. टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट, बजट कंस्ट्रेंट, डेटा कंस्ट्रेंट, स्किलफुल टीम नॉट अवेलेबल. सपोज आपने भी सीख लिया तो आप थोड़ी ना हर जगह पे जाके खुद 10 दिन बैठ के करने वाले ऑडिट. रिलेशनशिप विद क्लाइंट, don't have those budgets as well as skills to have those expensive forensic tools. And last and most important, जेल में signing partner जाएगा, मेरे को क्या है? Typical mindset, और जिसको survive करना बहुत difficult है, right? So the last one, like I think everyone faces it कि भाई मैं कितनी जगह पे जाके करूँगा, जो सो है देखा जाएगा. This is the last line and we close the matter. But if I share the challenges and I close it, then I think that's not fair on my part. So let's try to explore suggested solutions. These are suggested. In lot of places it works, not necessarily everywhere it works. Time constraint and budget constraint. So in those key elements I had mentioned about identifying fraud risk areas. So अगर जो एक कोई listed entity है जिसका quarterly audits होता है, तो you can try to kind of take few areas in every quarter, ताकि every quarter में 2-3 area आप ऐसे पकड़ो जहाँ पे आप थोड़ा ये वाले approach या ये वाले थोड़े detailed mindset से करो. And so that it's not like end of the year बैठ के 1 महीने का 2 महीना कर दिया. No one is having that budget and time. So you can see, like try to spread it across, or secondly, specifically जो high risk area, depending on the company industry, you can try to fix it. For the data constraint, thanks to my friend, like we could at least kind of have that practical scenario कि suppose data नहीं है तो ऐसे alternate methods या techniques से we can kind of fix it. Skillful team not available is a bit of a culture issue. Yes, absolutely. So basically, alternate मतलब जैसे कि अभी इनका जो example था कि it is sometimes very genuine. Like even if I am the client and you ask me, मुझे सब पता है कि आपको जेन्युइनली चाहिए, बट मैं भी यहाँ पे धंधा कर रहा हूँ, मतलब मैं आपका सेफ्टी के लिए नहीं बैठा हूँ, राइट? सो समवेयर यू नो, इफ यू हैव अ गुड रिलेशनशिप, येस और नो, आइदर ऑफ दैट, you try to figure out that what is the problem of the client, right? कि मुझे confidentiality issue है, तो वो confidentiality का कट करके बाकी का मिल सकता है. That is one way of alternate technique. Second is कि काफ़ी बार कुछ हम बोलते हैं कि हमें subsidiary के financials दो for checking diversion, etc. So I don't want to give, or whatever it is, you know, right, wrong, let's forget that. The client doesn't want to give. So at least MCA वगैरह पे आपको financials download होंगे. आपको पूरे लेजर्स नहीं मिलेंगे, बट एटलीस्ट ऑडिटेड फाइनेंशियल्स मिलेंगे कि सपोज लोन्स जाना है, सो यू विल सी दैट चेंजेस इन लोन्स, यू विल सी रिलेटेड पार्टी ट्रांजैक्शन डिस्क्लोजर्स, यू कैन सी कि भाई मेरे में मैंने 100 का रेवेन्यू दिखा है पर उसमें 100 का एक्सपेंस है. सो यू कैन ट्राई टू यूज दिस ऑल्टरनेट टेक्निक्स. अगेन मतलब दीज आर एग्जाम्पल्स, मतलब ऐसे जो भी एरिया है, इफ यू हैव समथिंग इन माइंड आई कैन शेयर. So this is the approach which you can use, like not कि भाई data नहीं है तो अभी रहने देते हैं, you know, it doesn't make sense. So like let's not stop ourselves कि ये सब तो बोला था, ठीक है, कभी data आया तो करेंगे. So for the skillful part, as one of my friends mentioned here, if at least, so I am saying this as the team is having the limitation कि चलो आपने आज सीखा है, आपने कोई session attend किया है, आपने कुछ notes बनाई है. So you can try to develop this as a culture इन द टीम कि आप वो प्रोसीजर्स कुछ है, जैसे मैंने कुछ यहाँ पे सैम्पल्स नो, लाइक ट्राई टू मेक अ डॉक्यूमेंट कि अगर जो टीम वो माइंडसेट भी ना लगा सके तो एटलीस्ट वो 4 सजेस्टेड प्रोसीजर जो सर ने बोली है तो एटलीस्ट वो प्रोसीजर्स कर दे. सो अगेन 100% नहीं जाएगा क्योंकि वो ऑब्जर्वेशंस लैक होएगा, बट समवेयर इट विल सॉल्व एटलीस्ट अ मेजर पार्ट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम देयर. रिलेशनशिप विद क्लाइंट, अ वेरी सिंपल एंड जेन्युइन सजेशन, जस्ट डू इट डिस्क्रीटली. आपको थोड़ी बताना है 4 लोगों को कि मैं इसमें फॉरेंसिक एंगल लगा रहा हूँ. जस्ट काइंड ऑफ गेट इट डन. एंड इन माई erstwhile firms also where we used to work, so being from the forensic side, the statutory audits, when you have a tendency of taking those high risk clients for high value fees, so then you need to be prepared to shell out some budget to safeguard yourself as well, you know, by these procedures, and everything need not be discussed and disclosed. It can be done separately and confidentially. Don't have expensive power, you know, those all data analysis tools, Power BI and all those fancy stuff. It's a myth. If you have it, nothing like it. For those forensic assignments, I do not deny that forensics tools are a must, but here we are not doing a forensic audit. We are just applying forensic mindset in audit. So I don't think you know, we need to get into that. And as just discussed in the previous session, ICAI is giving lot of simple free tools to use wherever feasible, and it's for either free of cost or nominal cost. Then I don't think we need to shy away from that, you know, कि tools ये सब थोड़ी ना हम करते हैं, ये हमारा काम थोड़ी है. Well, I don't have much comments. किसी का कुछ इसमें suggestion है तो बताइए ये वाले matter पे. Signing partner. So it's basically it's an accountability issue. Like मैं नहीं हूँ तो क्यों? Again, it's about a mindset. वो एक दिन या एक महीने में नहीं होएगा. As you know, like lot of firms, you know, they have that inherent values. कि अगर जो मैं as an article join करता हूँ या as a fresher ये जो भी है, so एक firm का एक culture है कि भाई यहाँ पे हम इस तरीके से everyone is accountable. हम चाहे salary मिलती है, but you know, we are in it together. So it's just about a culture and a mindset which will happen over a period of time. So I don't have an official solution for this. No, so here the point I was trying to address is, haha. Yeah, so even if I do a rotation, end of the day, in the team, the signing partner is only one, and unfortunately that is the boss. So a lot of times you have a lot of things and you are like that, why should I put in extras, you know, why should I burn extra hours for him, you know, even by doing this 5 steps is done, then why to. And if you are an outstation audit, तो भाई इतना time काम करे उससे अच्छा फिर शाम को घूमने कहाँ जाएंगे. So sorry. Yeah, absolutely. No, so that's the culture, right? So the more, you know, that culture is developed in the team, in that firm, the results will be shown. So agree with you. Yeah. So just a quick recap of all the things which we discussed in last 1.5 hour. Certain facts, exactly how, the types of frauds typically happen, what is forensics in audit, right? The definition and certain elements on that, why we need to get the forensics audit done, right? Due to regulatory matters, for our own security, relationship with client, additional fees, etc. After that, we went to the part of for whom are we doing it, right? We saw all types of people, and broadly, if you have employees in your company, and if the employee has an intent of fraud, then whatever the scale of the company, it does not matter, right? Then we did that practical example on how the forensics audit is done, and followed by the challenges and hopefully some solutions to the problems. So yeah, if there is anything, any questions, let's have a quick, we can take 1 or 2 and we can wrap up, right? Yes, sir.
Forensic audit has lost its relevance. When I was speaking to a banker, they said that forensic audit done by chartered accountants are not conclusive.
Right.
So that is how bankers are not appointing nowadays forensic auditors.
So firstly, by choice or not by choice, bankers will have to appoint forensic auditors because that is by statute. So the things which we discussed here, that was not as per statute. This was more of a conservative or a preventive approach for the members. But forensic audit for an NPA account is by statute. It's by the RBI circular itself. So now the second point you mentioned that, there is this issue of conclusive and everything. So the problems are genuine. So one of the points I mentioned. So this is all to do with audits. This one, yours is the forensic audit investigation part. So it slightly deviates, but just to respond to your question. So this is a typical, that fight which always happens, because when it comes to data, the bankers also have a lot of limitations of not able to provide all the data. A lot of times, the financials of the company are not available, right? So in that case, you can give an indicator report. But now, based on data not available, how can there be a conclusion on the report? So it's like bankers are genuine, कि जो भी है ये है, आपको करके तो देना ही पड़ेगा. And the auditor is genuine, के भाई, because if I write, it's not a fraud. You don't know, you have not seen the financials, how do you know whether it's not a fraud? And if you say, based on this available, it's a fraud, immediately in the court of law, that forensic auditor will be summoned. So it's a genuine fight, and I think it's going to be a permanent fight. A lot of circulars have come, a lot of notices have come, but no one is going to kind of put a foot back on that, and that's going to remain. Yes, sir. Anyone? We'll wrap up? Okay. All right then. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sonam. Thank you, Sonam, for this such a wonderful presentation. There are certain announcements. One is regarding the next Sunday, we have a felicitation program for newly qualified chartered accountant. So all the members whose article clerks or their son or daughter or siblings have passed the exams, they can fill the online form which has been emailed to them yesterday. Now I request Pratik Maru to propose a well-deserved vote of thanks.
Thank you, Vijay sir. It is an honor and privilege to deliver vote of thanks for the today's insightful and thought-provoking session. On behalf of BCSE and all the attendees present here, I extend heartfelt vote of thanks, gratitude to CA Soham Shah for sharing invaluable insights. The clarity and direction you have provided will surely inspire many of us to rethink our approach in audit and take bold steps in transforming our practice. Thank you once again for sparing out time and enriching the knowledge of members.